Like her fact that E Jean Carroll, right, the woman that proved Trump had raped her in a civil court of law, was lying and based her story specifically off of a 2012 Law and Order episode when she had medical records from before 2012 in the 90s indicating that she had been raped by Trump. That was a good fact.
To support a convicted felon, a proven sexual abuser.
He can't say it. He can't say he didn't do it because he keeps getting defamation suits for it. If he says he didn't do it, if he says he didn't rape E Jean Carroll, he gets defamation suits. So I'd love for him to keep saying it because then we can keep taking money from him.
Are way different than lawful lawsuits.
If Trump was held civilly liable for the violent sexual abuse of a woman against her consent, against her will, forcefully, would you still vote for him?
I encourage everyone to look at this video and see all the evidence presented in the case and all the evidence that wasn't presented in the case in this video, okay? On Wiki, you get a generalized synopsis of what happened in the case and the story. And I feel a lot of people have many questions about it. Feel free to pause and take a good look at all the slides because it goes kind of quick. Here we will see how Judge Kaplan was on a case that was dismissed with Prince Andrew, who SA'd a young female, upon which there was a settlement.
2022. Kaplan was presiding judge on matter relating towards Virginia Giuffre and Prince Andrew. Click on that on section. Watch what happens. What happens to the case. Click on that's the one. Click right there. Zoom in and just go to the top. Yeah. Jennifer and Andrew reached. The case was dismissed by the party stipulation in March 2022 without going to trial.
Prince Andrew.
So let me get this straight. This case, read the top. Federal Court, Virginia. You know who Virginia Giuffre? I mean, we just talked about her, right?
Traffic girl.
That's
from
right.
Epstein Island.
From Epstein Island, second son of, for sexual assault under court, several sexual encounters with Andrew in the early 2000s at the age of 17 after being trafficked by American financier and convicted by sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Dismissed without going to trial. Yet Trump's $83.3 million.
Wow. Most people would find that interesting.
The statement that he said, which he's just made, which is, she's not my type, number one, that was the number one thing.
I love that I'm not his type.
Someone who played a big role in the lawsuit funding for E Jean Carroll was Reid Hoffman, who also is a known visitor to Epstein, Island. So according to the Law and Order allegations,
I'm sure that you have an explanation.
Better, an admission. It was me. But it wasn't me. Megan wanted it. Well, that is to say that she arranged the entire thing. It was her fantasy. It was her fantasy.
Think of the fantasies.
It's not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Let's take a.
Did anyone want to role play you in a public place?
Now, why would you want to do that unless you thought it was sexy?
Yes, there was one a bit plain, and it was not her fantasy, it was mine.
There's the word fantasy again.
Yeah. Role play took place in the dressing room of Bergdorf's. While she was trying on lingerie, I would burst in.
Kind of weird how it's the same place with the same story. E Jean was also a Apprentice fan and a Law and Order fan. E Jean has a history of saying some pretty provocative stuff, so why wasn't Trump allowed to present that in court?
Her credibility is nowhere to be found. She is accused a babysitter's boyfriend, a dentist, a camp counselor, an unnamed college date, an unnamed boss, and CBS chief Les Moonves of either sexually harassing.
Now, did you guys know that?
Sexually assaulting or.
I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Now, here's the jacket dress that allegedly had the DNA of Trump on it.
Donald Trump for this? Why not?
I would find it disrespectful to the women who are down on the border, who are on the clock down there. But for the women down there, and for the women actually around the world.
And it was all fairly playful.
It was charming. It was exciting. Remember what Donald Trump was like in 95, 96. On the counter were these fancy lingerie boxes that they used to have back in the 90s.
Yeah.
You wore lingerie in the 90s, I'll bet, Joy. But he didn't suggest it. He shouted it.
He shouted
lingerie. Lingerie. He may have shouted underwear.
She was trying on lingerie. I would burst in. Hold on.
You know, okay.
Were you scared? Were you
No,
angry?
I was too panicked to be scared.
Too panicked to be scared? Okay.
I had the idea that I'm going to make him put it on over his pants. That was my idea. You see how funny that would be to make him put that on?
I guess my question is could there be any DNA on there?
Have no idea. I do not know if the president ejaculated. Have no idea. Lawrence,
You didn't know?
I had said, I said, I'll tell you my age if you show me your tax returns.
Yeah, it would have been helpful. Now.
Here's her joking about what she's going to do with the money.
That you're about to get to help shore up women's rights. Do you know what that might be? What that might look like?
Yes, Rachel. Yes.
Tell me.
I had such great ideas for all the good I'm going to do with this money. First thing, Rachel, you and I are going to go shopping. We're going to get completely new wardrobes, new shoes, motorcycle for Crowley, new fishing rod for Robbie. Rachel, what do you want? Penthouse? It's yours, Rachel. Penthouse and France? You want France? You want to go fishing in France? No? Oh, all right, okay.
That's a joke.
All right, okay.
That's a joke.
More like disingenuous. I'll admit Trump did not have a very good disposition, but he made his claim.
That they can grab women by the...
If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
When you said in that video that Ms. Leeds would not be your first choice, you were referring to her physical looks, correct?
Just the overall. I look at her, I see her, I hear what she says, whatever. You wouldn't be a choice of mine either, to be honest with you. I hope you're not insulted. I would not, under any circumstances, have any interest in you. I'm honest when I say it. I would not have any interest in.
Seems like he's being honest.
This case was so unbelievably weak in the first place.
George Conway encouraged E Jean to file the lawsuit. If you don't know who he is, look him up.
Often spoken about is the lack of disclosure about a big Democratic donor funding part of this case. Was there a reason it wasn't disclosed, and did you view this as political in any way?
No, I just completely forgot that he even existed.
In your deposition?
Yes, in my deposition.
The judge and Carroll's lawyer also worked together at one point. The judge also hated Trump for accusing him of TDS. He then denied Trump his evidence.
This case, and this law.
Yeah.
The Adult Survivors Act. They passed it just a few years ago. Were it not for that law, you never would have been able to bring the...
Robbie can explain it better.
Well, E Jean actually helped to get that law passed. It passed last year. We filed, it was Thanksgiving Day, was the first day you could sue. We filed just after midnight on Thanksgiving. And there are a lot of other women throughout this state and hopefully throughout this country that they will get other laws like this passed in other states. And New York women should use this law while it's still around, which is until...
Change the law to allow her to sue.
That you're telling this story just to sell books.
Yes.
What, a woman is not allowed to take a pen and put it to a piece of paper?
The president also says, quote, "I've never met this person in my life." For what it's worth, here's a picture of Donald Trump talking with E Jean Carroll in 1987, about a decade before the alleged attack.
So I do encourage everyone to look at the evidence and come to their own conclusion. She had all the advantage in this case, and Trump was not allowed to show a dang thing.